Britain is heading for this orderly break in relations with Europe, at least at the moment when I'm filming this. It's still looking like a no deal, but we'll see. Great Britain has not been a member of the EU since February 1st. We all know this. And that's why I want to bring up these 9 things that will happen if a hard Brexit really comes. But before I get started with those, I want to bring up a 10th thing, because of the comments recently, and they came up more and more and more. A lot of people were talking about the great 58 agreements the UK has made this year. Okay, the government itself says 54, but for argument's sake, let's say it's 58. That is not a victory. It still means on January 1st, by leaving the EU single market and the customs union and all the other regulations, with these 58 agreements, you will still lose another 692 agreements worldwide. You have not prolonged, you have not made your own deals for, they'll just be gone. I just wanted to make that one clear before I start with the video, because that's coming up more and more at the moment. In a transition phase until the end of the year, both sides actually wanted to reach a trade agreement, but the negotiations are on the brink still. There are only a few days left to achieve a breakthrough so an agreement can be ratified in time. Without an agreement, there would be massive disruptions in economic activity, and not only those 692 agreements around the world. But I want to give you an overview of the effects. Tariffs and import quotas will apply. Great Britain would leave the EU internal market and the customs union on January 1st without any succession in that case. Both sides would then normally impose tariffs and import quotas, and the rule of the World Trade Organization would apply, although Michael Gove once said for the first 6 months the UK wouldn't do that. We will see. But according to WTO, there would be a hefty premiums in a number of sectors. 37.5% for UK dairy products, 11.5% for clothing, 22% for vans and trucks, and 10% for automobiles. And that leads us directly to the auto industry. In the event of a no-deal scenario, the European auto industry warns of a dramatic collapse in the mutual trade volume of 110 billion euros over the next 5 years. For Great Britain, this would mean a minus of 52.8 billion euros. And for the EU states, 57.7 billion euros. Accordingly, the industry sees thousands of jobs at risk. And you see, from total numbers, it's quite equal. So it's not always, oh, the German car industry will be hit, blah, blah, blah. Think about the British one. And even if they are not British owned, they produce taxes, they produce jobs. Hearing all about let them all go, please sign up to any list we can send all the unemployed car workers in the UK to thank you for. Then there's border controls, and they are there with or without an agreement. From January 1st there will be border controls again. Without an agreement, however, this burden would be significantly higher. According to British Customs, additional bureaucracy would cost businesses on both sides £15 billion a year. That's 16.4 billion euros. The British government also expects, in the worst scenario, that up to 7,000 trucks could jam in the southeast of England due to controls on the English Channel. And what about tourist traffic? Without an agreement, airlines lose their takeoff and landing rights. Air traffic would come to a standstill. Because of the serious effects, temporary exemptions are likely. The participants at the EU summit called on the EU Commission in October to prepare unilateral and limited emergency measures in good time. And then there's the financial market. In some cases, such emergency rules already exist for the financial sector, because the City of London is an indispensable financial center for the EU at the moment and for the next 18 months. A hard cut at the beginning of the year could lead to market turbulence. In September, the Commission therefore announced that it would allow British settlement houses for complicated financial products such as derivatives to continue doing business on the EU market until mid-2022. And by then, the EU banks will be ready. I don't see that being prolonged once more. And what about Northern Ireland? For the British province, there is already a fallback solution in the Brexit treaty. Northern Ireland would therefore form a customs union with Great Britain. For goods from outside Europe that could enter the EU, the British authorities have to levy EU customs duties. Northern Ireland also continues to comply with internal market standards to avoid border controls with Ireland. But it is precisely this solution that Prime Minister Boris Johnson has challenged into question again with unilateral legislative changes. But that, fortunately, has recently been cleared up in the committee between Michael Gove and Maroš Šefčovič, the EU Commissioner for that. So that part, fortunately, is cleared by now. So then there's fishing, of course. Without an agreement, EU fishermen would no longer be allowed to cast their nets in UK waters. This would be a severe blow, especially for the EU countries France, Denmark, Belgium, Spain, and in a smaller amount for the Netherlands. German fishermen, on the other hand, would also hardly be affected. But what about citizens' rights? They are also already regulated in the resignation contract. A good 3 million people from other EU countries live in Great Britain and more than 1 million British people in the EU. You have the right to stay, work or study. Claims for health insurance, pensions and other social benefits are also guaranteed. But that only applies for those I mentioned, those that were there before December 31st. Everyone coming from January 1st, that's a completely different thing. I made another video about this. The EU repeatedly emphasized that the macroeconomic effects would hit the British much harder than the continental Europeans. That's why we're now at the topic of macroeconomic consequences. Indeed, UK goods exports to the EU account for 47% of total exports. Conversely, it's meanwhile only 4% for the EU countries. According to a study at the research center, leaving without an agreement could be almost 3 times as expensive for the British economy in the long term as the consequences of the corona pandemic. According to this, Britain's growth would be 5.7% lower over 15 years as a result of a no deal. For COVID-19, it's only 2.1%. And the percentages are important, not the total numbers. I know that many Brexiteers always come up with the total numbers, but it's more important if you have 100, let's say pound, and if somebody takes away 4% of that, well, you might say, meh. But if somebody takes away 47 pound from that, what will you say then? Who's worse off? Me with my missing 4% still having 96 pounds, or you with your 47% missing and having left 53 pounds? Think again. And if you want to stay informed, please subscribe to my channel, subscribe to my newest channels. I'll see you in my next video. Bis gleich.